Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Solutions Podcast. Today, you are in for such a treat because we have a guest, Julie Hilsen, with us. She is the author of a fabulous book. I'm going to put my glasses on to make sure I get it
I
exactly
have it in
right.
my on my desk
Oh, you
here.
do?
Because I know you had the audio copy,
I
so I
have
was
the
like,
audio
"The."
copy. That's fabulous. Life of Love, a joyful guide to self and sensuality. So today I'm going to have our listeners listen to our introduction and then come back and join me and Julie for a fabulous conversation. Einstein said, "We cannot solve our problems with the same thinking we used when we created them." Most everyone in the world is solving their problems the wrong way. Our problems come from our thinking, and we can solve them with our thinking. So, whether you're at your lowest, just trying to grow, or whether you are trying to sustain growth over your lifetime, join us as we push the boundaries of our current thinking and redefine how we find solutions.
The hope and the strength and the love and the smiles and the laughter of friends and family. Add it up, you'll find no limit to the possibilities.
Julie, hold that book up again for everybody to see. It's such a beautiful book. I would love for you to start by
Oh,
telling us the genesis of that book, how it came to be something in this
ooh,
world.
that's so beautiful. Thank you for letting me share that creation story. I'd love to say it was butterflies and rainbows, but it was a lot of heartache, tears, soul searching, and like coming on the other side saying, okay, what is this life supposed to be about? Like those deep
Yeah.
questions of, you know, self angst. And so it's like I need to gather these thoughts, and I got quiet, and the angels kept giving me signs, asking me to bring it forward. So I was like, okay, well, who am I to write a book? But if they're telling me to, and I have their support, I can't go wrong. So I just leapt in and or leaped in. I don't know the word, but it was you know, so much exploration and I've always been a very sensitive soul. I've always felt things, and my mother was always like, "Why are you so sensitive?" You know, I had two older brothers, and sensitive, easy to cry child girl, the third child, is like, "What is going on?" I'm sure my parents were like, "What?" They probably really wanted a girl, and then like, "What? We got what we asked for." Because I was like, I was always active and very inquisitive and explorative, but um, just so sensitive. And my mom would be like, "What is going on?" But there's a reason. When you're sensitive, you can share that experience with other people and maybe give insight. Or I was able to find out about my world through my sensitivities. So I felt
Right.
like share some of the benefit of my interesting experiences being
Well,
sensitive.
I love it because in the book you share about that. In the introduction, you talk about, like, I was always so sensitive and how this is such an asset and such a unique part of who you are and your soul. And what I love about that is because so many of the people who listen to this podcast were sensitive people, that were born very sensitive into this world and or have sensitive children of their own. And I remember kind of similarly to what you're saying is I remember my parents saying, my dad specifically sitting me up on the side of the pool one summer, and he just said, "Sweetheart, you're just too sensitive. You're going to be crushed by this world. We have got to kind of toughen you up a little bit." And there was I was so confused by that. It was such an act of love on his part, but also such an act of protection. And I did spend the rest of my life like creating this outer toughness that protected and hid my inner sensitivity. And so when I'm listening, as you mentioned, I'm listening to the audio version of your book. So when I heard you talk about that, there's just this little part of me that was like, oh, it's such a amazing, special thing to not only be a sensitive person, but to have such an awareness from a young age and as an adult now, that is just such a unique capacity that you've been given, and that there's a reason why, and you know, and it's to share this perspective and with other people. So anyway, I just wanted to say I really appreciated that from the get-go of your book, talking about
Oh,
that. Yeah.
thank you. Thank you. And permission,
Mhm.
permission to be sensitive, to go through the feelings of what you need to go through. And it's okay. And but as a parent, you want to protect your child from anything that's not
Mhm.
of joy and comfort. Like that's their job, to protect you and make sure that you're prepared for this world. But it's their superpower. It's should be cherished and supported. And I get it. I totally get what your dad was doing at the side of the pool. We're I when I had a podcast episode named "One Hot Mess" the other day, I was like,
Really?
it's like sometimes it's just one hot mess, and it's okay.
And
You
it's
gotta.
okay, yeah. I know, but I do feel like I was like, "Oh, I'm just," even today, um to open that sensitivity up for other people to kind of walk around. I am still learning how to let that part be the lead of who I am. It's interesting. So I just think it's refreshing to be in the presence and in conversation with someone who has, as you say, it's permission. It's like, oh, it is safe. Like there's a part of me I think that still thinks, oh, this is dangerous, right? Versus,
Mhm.
"No, no, it's safe. Come on in. Be this way."
Well, it can be dangerous if you're reactive.
Right.
You know what I mean? If you just speak exactly your consciousness and your subconscious and those parts of you that could hurt other people because
Mm. Yeah.
you're not looking the lens through love or compassion, you're just sort of being raw. And that's what I had to figure out, how to contain the hot mess so it wouldn't hurt other people. Because when you hurt other people and you're sensitive, oh man, you just can't go around like a banshee throwing your feelings around. Like, you're right, it's a balance. Like, you do not want to be emotional banshee.
I know. I have a few of those experiences. I
Yeah,
would
and
have to say
I've
too.
let loose on people, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, what did I just
I know.
do?" Like, and then it's hard to blow it off as a sensitive, and then you forgive yourself, and you forgive the person, you forgive the room, and the, the emotions, like, and going through all that. So, it's a journey. I'm not saying, "Oh, just be your perfect self all the time." It's messy. It's something,
But it
but it's so crazy how you'll have manifestations of it. Like when you try to
Mm.
hide your emotions and not deal with them, you're not going to throw up on everybody, but your body will tell you. Like, I used to get like breakouts, like huge neck acne as an adult, like
Really?
crazy. Because if I wasn't living in my truth, it was going to manifest as something on my body.
Mhm.
And I even struggled with a little cancer. I didn't put that in my book, but
Right?
I had some stuff I had to work through. And it was like woman cancer, like, oh my God, am I going to be able to have a baby? And I always knew from the first time I could hold my baby doll, my little sister was born, I was going to be a mom. Like, that was what I was put here for. My favorite thing's my baby doll. My second favorite thing was my dollhouse. So the
Ah.
thought of me not being able to have a child was just like, whoa. So cancer hitting that part of my body was a huge wake up sign, because
Wow.
that's like your manifestation. That's where you create your solar plexus,
Mhm.
all that, your root chakras, your connection to Mother Gaia. And she's so important to us. And if you ignore her, if you ignore your feelings and your true authentic being, you're ignoring like half of your being.
Yeah.
And that's where I was. I was ignoring, I was living out of living out of someone else's approval. If the people around me were happy, and I was being a productive member of society, and they were doing well, and I was supporting them, then Julie was a good person. That's what I thought.
Oh, well, I think so many people feel that way. I mean, different factual circumstances surrounding that same realization that you're talking
Mhm.
about. So many of the women that I work with in the Soul Shine Labs who are our members and other people that I've come in contact with, it really is. It's like, oh, if everybody else around me is happy, then I'm happy.
It's
And
good.
it's
Yeah.
good, right? And then all of a sudden, you continue to get older and you grow and you have these experiences and you realize like, oh no, that isn't good. I'm supposed to be happy
Mhm.
as well and actually fill my cup. And you talk about that in this book. And I'd love to hear some of your thoughts around that and the teachings and the the messages that you've received around that about that it's not selfish to take care of yourself and also how you I know your book is organized into um, part one, loving your soul, and then part two is your body, right?
Mhm.
So, um, I don't know what speaks to you first to talk about with that question,
Well,
but
I guess my main thing that I always come back to is remembering. And
mm,
that's why I wanted to start out with finding your light, your soul, like
mhm,
remembering that you are a fractal of divinity and you're this unique, irreplaceable, beautiful soul. And that's how you entered the earth and that's how you're going to leave.
mhm,
And and then we have to filter this soul through our body. So that's the dichotomy of this existence is like we have yes and no, black and white, good and bad, and our soul doesn't know anything but purity and divinity. So reconnecting to your light and even acknowledging that you are light. Like we're not taught that.
we are. I know. We are I have my youngest is 22 and so his peer group, they're all just graduated from college. He's staying for an extra year. But at the same time he was coming home from college and just sad and mourning, the best time of his life. I was going to a friend's pre-K graduation and talking about the dichotomy, like here's these 5-year-olds graduating from a faith-based pre-K, and everybody's like, "You're a unique light. God loves you. You are born for something." And how the entire, you know, all of the sacred witnesses for that beautiful ceremony for them, parents, grandparents, friends, aunts, uncles, teachers, and then the space itself in the sanctuary. And then fast forward to being 22 years old and graduating from college, and nobody's telling you that anymore. Everybody's like, get a job, go do this, you have to do XYZ. And my son was saying, when did people stop telling us that?
Mm.
I-
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, it's so true because now I have the pleasure of spending my life helping people remember, as you say, right? Or get to know this
Mm.
part of them that they were born with, that came to this earth for this amazing human experience for the purpose of, living and loving and hopefully, leaving more love through their existence and taking it back with them. But
Mhm.
you're right. When you go through life, there comes this part of forgetting that that's who we are, and the outside world doesn't reinforce that for us.
Hmm. No. And it's our duty to claim it. And
Yeah.
even I don't have that in the book, but as part of my journey, I've negated soul contracts that don't serve me anymore.
Mm, I have too. Talk about that because I love that. I'm
Mm.
like, I love talking. I get chills now that I just
Mhm.
asked you, like soul contracts. Tell me um,
Mm.
when you first remembered this concept of soul contracts and yeah. Talk
Yeah,
about that.
it was through a group of very conscious people,
Mm-hmm.
and it was through, it's called We Love Mass Meditation,
Mm-hmm.
and it was part of setting up for this. It was a monumental astrological day of something in Aquarius and something in the, like, I am
Yeah.
not an astrologer, but I love it. I think it gives you keys to your purpose and to your frustrations, and it validates a lot of things if you look at your chart or have someone help you with it. But yeah, it was part of the setup for this, and it was like, we have these contracts that sex is love, love is
Mm-hmm.
sex, and it robs you of your ability to be sensual in a way that's free, because when you're putting labels on something and not able to experience it with your whole pure curiosity in yourself, then you're putting layers on, like the college
Yeah.
graduate has layers on the light that
Yeah.
you got to fly up. So that was the huge one where we wrote it down. Sex is love,
Mm-hmm.
love is sex, go back and forth. And I was like, well, there's contracts, like socially we have contracts that we've identified with that may or may not serve us. And I don't know why I went to sex right away, but that's just the most alerting, like, because
Right.
like the male persona, the socially accepted thing is that men don't have to feel love and sex, and
Mm-hmm.
women do, and it's really, that's just a paradigm that we've subscribed to. It's a contract. But there's
Mm-hmm.
other ones where we've said that we're going to be part of a mass consciousness that we don't want to be a part of anymore. So you can to me, anything that's not serving you, you can say, I null and void this contract. This isn't working for me anymore. So I don't think there's a contract book. I think it's a personal thing, and it's a way to cut an energetic tie that you might have to an idea, a shame, um, a relationship, just anything that's holding you back. Yeah, so I don't mean to talk around it, but yeah, that's sort of how I've done it. And I've asked, Archangel Michael to help me sever those ties and clear the contracts. There's different philosophies with, there's been overlays put on our DNA that make us less spiritual, like dimming of our pineal glands. All these things, I think, are being lifted with these solar flares we've been having, and you can feel the light, the intensity coming in. And I don't want to even put sunglasses on because I'm loving it. I can feel the layers peeling off.
You can?
I
Tell me
can.
more. Tell me more about that. Oh my gosh. I love hearing about this.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's conceptual, but it's when you can be in the sun and take
Mhm.
on the sun rays and say, I'm accepting an upgrade.
Yeah.
The sun
Ah.
is different from, I gotta put sunscreen on, and I'm like, the
Right.
sun is dangerous. Like, the sun is,
Mhm.
if we don't have the sun, we perish. Like, we
Mhm.
need the sun. And I adore the sun. I'm not a sun goddess, or I don't worship the sun, but I do thank the sun. Like, you put your plants in the
Yeah.
sun, and some don't need as much. It's a sensitivity, but you can receive information to your chromosomes from the sun. I know that because when you sit out there and ask for it and get quiet, you can feel it
You can
energetically.
feel it.
It's like
Yeah.
recharging or resetting too, because we don't have an on off button like our computers or our phones.
Mhm.
When they malfunction, we turn them off and, say a little prayer that they function the way they should when we turn them back on again. And, we turn off our computers. But how do we reset our neurological system? And we can ask Mother Gaia, we can ask the sun to help
Mhm.
us reset. And I think that's how some people hug trees to reset their electronics. I mean, we are magnetic and electrical. Um, so I'm offering that. People
Uh,
feel free to be in the sun and not be like, well, I need my sunscreen. I'm not telling you to go out in the ocean for a deep water fishing trip without a hat or anything. Like, I wear a hat, but I don't think the sun is as dangerous as the contract that we've been given
Mhm.
is. But of course, talk to your doctor. I'm not giving medical advice.
Well, the first thing that came up for me when you said that was there's a line, and I think it's William Blake wrote it, the poet, and he said, our part of our purpose here on earth is to learn how to endure the beams of love. And so when you're talking about that, the sun and stepping into it and feeling the rays and asking it for an upgrade, right? That
Mm-hmm.
was like that just popped into my mind when you said that, because there is this idea of, and I think it is part of a cultural contract that we've all agreed to, or a consciousness. You think about just that book of Adam and Eve and Genesis, right? Like after they eat the fruit of the tree of knowledge, they hide. They hide from God, right? There's this idea of hiding from love, like, oh, the beams of love would be so strong, or they'd be able to see what we have done. And so that shame, that hiding from it. And so in all the ways that we have taken on in our lives, that plays out how we're hiding from the intensity of a pure expression of love, and to, through the course of our lives, be able to stand more and more in the presence of that, and to feel it. So that's what came up for me when you were talking about that. I was like,
Oh, I love that's so beautiful.
yeah,
And God's spark, that's,
yeah,
I think that's part of our reason to be here, is to share authentically that God spark of love, because God, goddess, whatever you
yeah, whatever.
subscribe to, that's there for you for that to express itself through your human body. And I believe we have this energetic grid around the earth that our
Hmm.
love feeds, and we can feed it in positivity or negativity. And I'd much rather err on the side of positive, and then you know if when I get to the other side I was too positive, I guess I'll have to deal with that. It's the whole, shoot for the moon, you end up in the stars type thing. Like,
Hmm.
and it, you have to go through the angst, and, people are going to piss you off, and you're going to have to forgive and, say, why is this happening again? Like, why, but go through that and then choose love, choose forgiveness, let them off the hook. There's holding on to anything isn't serving you or your light.
No,
So,
I always tell people, I was like, at some point you are the hook that's holding them on it, and it gets a little exhausting to continue to be the hook that
I love that metaphor. It's like, okay, it's getting heavier.
it's getting
This is
heavier.
really annoying. I could be holding a glass of wine with this hand, or I could be like surfing, or
Exactly,
what else could you
exactly.
do with that finger? I love that metaphor.
Uh, well, I thought it was fabulous because in your book at one point you said about this positivity that you exude, and that this energy that you have. You're like, people accuse you of being positive, and they called you Pollyanna, and you said I even had to look up in a dictionary what Pollyanna meant.
I was like, I don't know if that's a compliment, but it's okay.
But I don't mind being that person who's seen that way. But
Mm.
did you always feel that? Because I was like, at first I was like, oh, I wonder what that feels like. I feel like I have, it's, I guess, more of an effort. And even saying that to you out loud is like, is it really more of an effort, Tara? Um, and that could just be the layers of things that I carry. But the I have a deep desire to be that positive light, and I have a commitment towards it. But it is effort for me. And when I hear your voice, I'm like, oh, I love the effortlessness that I hear in her being,
Mhm.
of being that way. So
Well, thank you. It's it's hard to explain. It's like this thing where yes, I've always been like
yeah.
the smiley kid, but sometimes I think I was a smiley kid because I wanted everyone else to smile.
Mm,
That was part of my persona.
yeah.
and I don't want to let anyone else down. And so it did come naturally, but then also I was being a people pleaser. So it's this thing where you try to figure out who your true self is and lead from there. But when you're always looking for the good in other people, and you're trying to be happy and live from this frequency, unconsciously as a child, when you are opposed, when you're not accepted, when someone pushes you down, it really, really hurts because you have done nothing wrong.
Oh, yeah.
They didn't have bullies in the 70s and 80s, right? We never
Yeah.
had bullies.
We didn't.
But everybody gets bullied. Like, I'm not going to say I was this angel child, but I was told by the nuns to suck it up.
Right.
Like, don't be so sweet. It's your fault.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like narcissist. It's your fault for being too kind. It's like, oh my gosh, what is going on? So I made my mom take me out of Catholic school. I was like, I'm done.
Did? How
I
old
did.
were you?
I was in 6th grade. I finished the school year and I was like, I'm done. You're not spending money on this school. I'm not going back. I'm going to go to the public school and it's going to be better. And it will.
Wow.
I've been a rebel. I do not like bureaucracy. I don't like people to tell me what to do. And I don't know. Maybe it's the angels that do this for me because I've always had a connection to them. And, but yeah, I have no tolerance.
Well, I went to Catholic school for 12 years, and it was very interesting. The nuns were very tough, for sure.
They're tough.
They're
Yeah.
tough. They are tough. But I want to talk more about your connection to the angels, because I think this is another one of those places, like we're talking about the little pre-K 4 graduates, and then when we get to be adulthood. But having that, my home faith tradition is Catholicism, and I had pray to your guardian angel, pray to your guardian angel, pray to your guardian angel, like for all of elementary school. And I just can remember having all of these books about my guardian angel, and I'd come home from school and I would just like connect and talk and to with my guardian angel, and ask for the protection, and then at some point, as I was growing up, that began to fall off, right? That it wasn't reinforced, and other things kind of step in. And so I think that when I heard you talk about that, that was like, I really want to talk to her more about it, because I love that connection that you have. And so do you mind sharing some of that?
No, it's another remembering for
Mhm.
you. I love that. I love that synchronicity and that common ground. It reminds me of that movie If, about the imaginary friends.
Oh, I
I don't know
haven't
if you've
seen it.
seen that.
Mm.
Because that's the whole plot of the movie, is that, once you outgrow your imaginary friend, what do they do? Where do they hang? They're sort of there, but you don't see them anymore because you don't believe in them. And maybe our guardian angels are our imaginary friends. And I love to play in that dimension of, okay, so everything's connected. Everything is one. It's just what we decide to tune into. So that just came to my mind. So if anyone, that's such a cute movie. I loved it. My husband fell asleep in the first 10 minutes, but I watched the whole thing. It has a twist. It's such a good movie. I was just, he woke up and I was crying next to him on the couch. I was just like losing it. It was one of those movies. But yeah, I mean, I grew up with imaginary friends, and there wasn't a lot about guardian angels with my Catholic upbringing. It was more, we said the rosary whenever we got into the car with my
Oh,
grandparents.
yes. To
And
travel, yes.
and I loved to like connect with Mother Mary. I thought she was just like the most elegant, and that we had St. Mary's Church, and so there's this beautiful statue of Mother Mary, and I always stared at her during Mass because Jesus had blood coming out of the side of his. Like, I was like, I'm just gonna focus on Mary. She looks good. She's got flowers. She's stepping on a snake. She's got it all under control. Mother Mary is where it's at. I'm like, Jesus, I'm gonna let the men deal with that stuff.
Everyone deal with that.
and the first communion veil and all that, but
yeah.
I ignored the angels. And I had a dear friend who had a group for holistic moms, and I was into like figuring out like artificial things in my environment because my skin, remember I told you my skin, and I was just like, there's something in my environment I'm reacting to. So I joined these groups, and I was trying to be more holistic, and we had a guest speaker, and I met Dr. Carolyn, and she's like telling me about my angels around me and telling me about my son who was born with, medical conditions. And she didn't know me. She just sat in the center of the circle and went around and told everyone about their angels. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is a real thing. And then I ignored it. For 5 years, I did not call. I had her card. I had her book. I bought her book. And I ignored. The angels kept leaving me pieces of paper in the shape of wings. They would leave me, feathers. Anytime you see a feather.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew the signs, but I was just like, I'm not this magical being. I'm not worthy of that. I'm just this person trying to make it through and being a young mom and get through the day and, hopefully party on the weekends, go to a show, what I mean? I was living for the next weekend, and, it's good, it's fine. But so I ignored it. And then finally I just couldn't ignore him anymore. And I was just like, okay, I've just got to say yes. And so I said yes, and I dove in. And then all these things keep happening. I never have to look for a parking spot anymore. And it's just asking. It's not like this huge ceremony where you have sage or you promise your, whatever. You just say, hey, angel, I don't know how to deal with this rude person in front of me in traffic. Please come and help me. Or, it's like you don't even have to know all the angels' names, but as you get to know angels, you do tend to learn the ones for different things. But so it was a period of, oh, I'm not worthy, and who am I to ask for angels to help? I'm not a nun. I'm not in the church. Is it going to be dangerous? Am I going to invite negative entities? Like, I went all through the whole thing. I was like, well, she had a black cat. Maybe she's not, maybe she can't talk to angels. Maybe she's talking to Satan. Like, I went through the whole thing, and I was like, you know what? I'm of love and light, so I'm going to ask God for protection and see what happens. And, it's all about, you have to ask for help. Even with intergalactic beings, they can't come help us until we say, please, I align with the highest benevolent beings, and they can come help you. But they can't do it unless you consent to being in their field or accepting their help, because they've taken an oath to not intervene. So, I think that there's a very fine line between angels and intergalactic beings.
I don't even know what an intergalactic being is. I'm like, what is that?
Well, that's a whole, the Palladians, the Atlanteans,
oh my gosh.
There's all kinds of, when you start getting into these spiritual things, and you get hits and you get images when you close your eyes of things that are here to help us. And when you open yourself up to say, hey, I'm available, what is out there of the highest love and light, whatever your frequency attracts is what you're going to get as far as help. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, there's lots of people that have gotten, signs in the clouds that look like angels when they've asked to connect with their galactic beings. So I think it's a big tribe. It's like when you pour salt in the water, the whole water gets to be salt water. All cream can turn to butter. Like, we're all part of this together. So it's just asking and knowing that you're divine and you're worthy to get help.
Mm-hmm. I think the that active remembrance of asking for help all the time. And that, just what you're saying, I was like, oh, yes. I mean, my sister-in-law is so fabulous about talking to the parking angels, like, oh, let's, or my grandmother would always, would say, oh, if you got a spot, you're like, oh, Mama Carol was watching out for us right now. Like
Yeah.
all these remembrances that add layers of meaning and texture to our lives, I think, and feeling that connection to them. And to your point, my experiences with, you know, higher levels of consciousness and beings of love, angels, all the things there were so many very specific things when my middle son had cancer and we were engaged in his treatment and his care and his journey to being cured. And
Mm.
it was such a remarkable time. We asked for help all of the time and feeling the help, the presence. We'd ask for help in the form of prayers at specific time from people all over, and feeling the energy from across the country and the world of that type of focus and love and attention and other people's desire and prayers for your highest and best good.
Mm.
You
That's what I'm
know?
talking about, the energy grid. I think that prayer feeds this energy grid, and
Mhm.
we tap into it. Like we're crystalline beings. We have crystalline in our bodies.
Mhm.
It's just, it's so good. It's so good. And why do we wait till there's a medical thing, or
I
someone
know.
dies, like that's what I'm about. Like every day your life can be a little more sparkly if you just say yes.
Ah, I love that image. Your life could be a little more sparkly if you say yes. We've been doing so in my membership in the Soul-Shine Labs, and then people on my email list. We've been doing this 30 days of meta prayer, and starting with there are a million different versions, but the first one we've said in this practice for this month, and we're 20 days in, is may I be happy, may I be happy, may I be well, may
Mm.
I be safe, may I be filled with peace and ease. And we were talking today in our class, and I'm like, one of the things, it's been so interesting because that has coincided with just the time frame in which you and I connected to schedule this podcast. And, I just like that, an interesting coincidence that we're doing this thing where the first thing is may I be happy. And I'm struck by, and was asking the other women, how often do you ask for your happy, may I be happy, may I be well, may I
Does
be,
it matter? Yeah.
yeah, right, may I be
Right.
filled with the peace that passes all understanding and ease. Like how
Mm.
we set this as a goal, and then we're like working tirelessly toward that, but we're not asking for
Mm.
it.
And that's the divine feminine, to just ask and receive. Just sit back
And
and be like,
receive.
I I'm in this is not an entitlement. This is justice. This is part of my makeup as I was put in this world as a female. Like you can,
Mhm.
and I go further. I say I enjoy peace and ease. I enjoy
I love
happiness.
that.
Put yourself in that
Mhm.
enjoyment of it. That it's been very powerful for me, and manifesting, or just being it, because part of it's feeling it before it can happen. And you know
100%.
that.
Yeah. Feeling it before it can happen. It's becoming the person who, yeah, that you
Mm.
think you're going to be. It's not the outward trappings, right? It's the ability to have that experience, that feeling experience right now on the inside.
I'm
And
so
that,
glad I could put an exclamation mark on that for you and your soul tribe. I love it.
I am too. I can't wait to add that. Like, I enjoy it, that claiming aspect of
Yep.
it. Because I
Mm.
do find that to be such, and it's, and talking with you today, and you've used this term a few times, the divine feminine, right? And that is the role of the divine feminine, and that archetype to receive. And yet in our society today, we're finding women are just giving, 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 and not allowing themselves to receive. And so that shifting that, right? Returning, remembering that you were designed to receive.
Yeah, cancel that contract, girl.
Cancel the contract.
Mm-hmm.
That comes back to it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so to cancel, let's just do a little cancellation.
I should just do a whole website on canceling contracts.
Yeah,
I could put a section on my
should.
webpage.
You should.
Oh.
Do you want to cancel a little contract while we're here for a second?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, which one should we do? The idea that you have to ask for permission to be
Or
divine feminine, or that you need to subscribe to the production equals value
that one.
paradigm.
That one. We want to cancel that one.
Okay. All right. So what are 3 manifestations of that? It would be showing up for everyone else.
Mm-hmm. Showing up for
Okay.
everyone else.
It would be denying your body what it's asking for.
100%. Mm-hmm.
Oh, what's one more? Dulling your light,
I love that.
because that's not being authentic.
Yeah.
Okay, so hopefully I can remember those 3. All right, so we can start out by I hereby cancel and delete
I hereby cancel and delete
any soul contracts or overlays
any soul contracts or overlays
that have been placed upon me consciously or unconsciously
that have been placed upon me consciously or unconsciously
to participate in a paradigm of production equals value.
to participate in a paradigm of production equals value.
I hereby claim my divinity
I hereby claim my divinity
and my ability to know my needs,
and my ability to know my needs,
to advocate for my highest good,
to advocate for my highest good,
and to let my soul shine as I enjoy my divine feminine.
and to let my soul shine as I enjoy my divine feminine.
And so it is.
And so it is. Oh my gosh. Thank you.
And it's
so
freedom.
much. It's freedom. Wow.
Because we have to consent to these things. Without
Yeah.
our consent, they have no power.
Mm-mm.
And I've gotten in arguments where I'll be like, I don't consent to this, what you're trying to put on me.
Right.
That's something you're dealing with, but I don't consent because that's not where I come from. And to say I don't consent is very, very powerful. When you say that to somebody who's trying to make you feel like you did something, or that you're somehow responsible for their feelings, or not accepting your feelings, right? Like, you might be telling your feelings and they're being defensive, but I don't consent to that.
Yeah.
And they're like, what?
I know it kind of stopped. I was like, talk to the hand. I don't consent to that.
Good
But-
day, sir.
Good day.
Good day,
sir.
ma'am.
It's always like the force, like it's just like the force, like you just
Yes. St. Michael cut the cord.
Mhm.
Archangel Michael, I mean.
that image and that language speaks to me, and I've always resonated it with so much because I come from a legal background and I practiced law. I was a
That's
lawyer for
right.
over 20 years. And so, if you're working on a contract, there has to be a meeting of the minds. Like, both parties have to consent to, everything that's laid out. And you go through this negotiation process of, I don't consent to that, or, and
Mhm.
back and forth. And you don't sign the contract until everybody has consented. But then even in the contract, there's a provision to, in case of breach or how to cancel the contract. Like the idea being you can't hold two people to this contract forever. If one of them wants to get out of it, they get to get out of it. And I think it's really interesting to see that we do have, if I'm imagining someone listening to this and they're like, okay, Tara and Julie, what in the world are y'all talking about? But if you're like, oh, if it exists at this level and that this is of service and makes sense, wouldn't it make sense that it would already exist on some higher spiritual plane as well, right? Like this. And I always thought about, like, if we have free will, that we have the ability. I bought deeply into the concept of free will as a high school Catholic schoolgirl, but expanded that viewpoint when my son was diagnosed with cancer. And I was reading someone's book. It's like You Are the Answer, Michael Tomorrow, and Tamura. And I think he might have had a Hindu faith tradition, but this is where the first time of this idea of soul contracts kind of came. I was introduced to it. It was like, if you have free will on this side of being born, then imagine your soul had free will prior to this side. And with a 7-year-old with leukemia, the idea that he had chosen this path, or he had chosen part of this experience, this life experience in some way. And
it just seems so unjust, right?
Right.
Like he's this pure cherub, right? Like, yeah.
Yeah, right. Like, I was trying really hard, grasping not to see him as a victim. And also, I was looking for some forgiveness as well from all of the, higher beings, that I wasn't just thoughtless in having a child, and that, something like this.
Things we go through as parents.
You go through as parents.
And so I had a sick kid too. You just question every single little thing you did.
You do.
Every single thing. And you just own it until you forgive yourself.
I know.
It gets hard. Yeah. So what did you come up with?
So I was like, he had asked, and even in talking to someone, actually that writer's wife we talked to about 3.5 years later, and she said, y'all had this soul contract, and he asked for a number of people to be his mom, and all these souls said no, but you
I just got the chills. You said, okay, I'll do it.
I said, I'll do it. And I know. And we had and then she also said, to my husband and myself, that we had the soul contract, and we had lived a life before, and said that he's fulfilled his part of the contract, and he wants you to know that, and he has fulfilled it. And so now he is going to live the rest of his life on his terms. He's taught you everything that he had agreed to, come into this incarnation and teach you. And, that was also a gift to us. He would have been 9 at that point. And to know that, like, you have to let him live his life and make his choices. And so anyway, that was the first time I was introduced during that period of our lives. And so, like you, I've used it in connection with some relationships and friendships that start out, and then I'm like, this is no longer of service. I don't agree to this continuation of relationship. But thank you for today, letting me see that on a larger, level of consciousness, on a larger contract, right, that we enter into as a society, perhaps. And
it's really interesting when you, the more and more I learn about holograms, that everything can be in the here and it can be here.
Right?
And it's just like, what?
What?
You learn at different levels. And wow, I love your story and your bravery. And, just to have that peace of mind that it was a contract and
Mhm.
you can, it's freeing. It takes away so many layers of what we try to hold on to, we try to control. And honestly, we don't have control. We don't know. We don't know all the
No.
answers. And sometimes we just have to have faith and just know that we did our best. And at the end of the day, if you've tried your best, what else can you do? Like, that's all
Yeah.
you can do.
That's all you can do. And I think it freed us from, and part of that that breaking of that contract that you just walked me through, you said you had the term overlay that you used in there. And I think, when we approached the situation from the perspective of the soul contract, that it freed us from overlaying onto him a lot of things that we otherwise would have overlaid on him, right? It allowed us to hold the space that he was his own sentient being and soul, and that he could handle things on that level, and we didn't have to overlay or protect, which makes me think about going back to the sensitivity thing. We had a role to
Mm.
play with regard to medical treatment and decisions like that, but other things he was more prepared for than we were. So it
The-
kept us in this type of, you know, I don't know, recognizing his own agency and
and gave him autonomy and
autonomy
power.
and
He had
power.
so many things that were not in his control as a
Yeah.
young child going through
Mhm.
that. It was really important for him to have that and for you guys to be like, oh, just let him fly. He can
Just
do
let him fly.
this.
He can do this.
He's
Mhm.
probably
He's
made it
just
a lot more fun to be his mom. His
I think it
dad.
did. I think it did. I think it did. Oh, well, I'm gonna ask you, and wrapping things up because I was just looking at the time. Are there any I just want to say thank you for being who you are in this world and for answering the call to be you and to deliver all of these messages. And thank you for sharing with us today and in such a specific way that's very, very meaningful to me. And so I want to say thank you for all of that.
Oh, thank you for having me on. This has been a delight and my honor, and I'm just very happy to connect with you. And I also want to thank Brooke. Shout out to Brooke
I
for
do
introducing
too.
us.
Yes,
She struggled through some of these things too, so I can't wait for her to listen. She's
I
a dear
can't
sweetie.
wait. I know. So a dear friend
Mm.
of mine, then it's crazy how we connected during a time like I received a phone call from her out of the blue, nowhere, and she says, "Yeah, you don't know who I am." And somehow she'd stumbled upon what we were going through, but she had had an image and a message that said, "You're going to be okay, and your son is going to be okay," that she found a way to deliver to us. I mean, it's
She's
crazy.
she's amazing, yeah.
And so that was, 15 years ago, and today to still be in each other's lives because of that. And then she introduced us to each other. So
I know.
thank
It's
you.
like, the angels are working all around us all the
It's
time.
true. It's true.
It's proof. I really, really think it's proof.
I do
Yep.
too. I know that goes back to my lawyer brain, like the evidence that we're building for this. It's
Mhm.
like, yeah, it's
That's good.
proof. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's proof. Do you have anything else that you had wanted to say today that might have been
Oh, yeah. I'm trying to remember. I did this deep meditation before I got on with you, and it was about being true to yourself and knowing yourself, and it's okay to get to that shiny little place in your heart and just admire that little girl that is pure and hopeful and curious and bring her out and have fun with these things. You laugh at yourself. We are really funny. We're inconsistent. We're erratic. I'm hormonal. I don't know. I cried
love
3
that
times this
image.
morning. I don't know. I got a nice email. I cried. I got a mean message from somebody and I cried. I'm like, I can't get it straight today, but I'm going to just enjoy this ride because
I love that.
so just, try to laugh and not take things so seriously because it's just a short time here and we're going to be on the other side dancing before we know it.
Very, very true. Well, thank you, Julie. And will you hold up your book one more time? I want
Oh,
everybody to
thank you.
please get more of Julie and her Life of Love
Mm.
book. And your
It's
podcast.
Oh, I know that's so fun. I get to talk like you, the people like you. I
Mhm.
get to talk to people like you on a regular basis, and it's just really fun to celebrate our wins and collaborate on things that didn't go our way, and just we're building this network of women supporting each other and bringing out the best in each other, and I adore it. I used to be a really competitive person, and I've realized I'm so much happier when I'm celebrating everybody's victories. It's not good for my tennis team. They don't really. They're like, Julie, why aren't you more mean? I'm like, it's okay. I don't have to win. I had fun. So fun.
That cracks me up. Oh, I love it. That's such a great place to end on.
I'm like, but it was a really good shot.
It was a really going back to the 5-year-olds, like, oh, we all got to play
And they
today.
have cute outfits on.
Snacks.
Snacks. Got my
Well,
fruit snacks.
it's a
Oh my
great
gosh, Tara, I love you so much. You're a
thing.
kindred spirit for me, I can tell.
I appreciate that very much, and I you. So thank you so much for today.
Mm.
And for everybody listening, please go check out Julie and please share this podcast episode with a friend of yours or someone whose name just, if someone's name flashed across your mind or your heart through when you were listening, that's one of these signs that we're talking about. Just
Yeah, be
say,
like Brooke, because
be like
she
Brooke.
made this happen.
Yeah, she made this happen. I think you need to listen to this. So thank you very much.
Done living the life I'm meant to lead. And I ain't done loving the ones who cared for me. The hope and the strength and the love and the smiles and the laughter of friends and family. Add it up, you'll find no limit to the possibility.